Literacy Month, a time to raise awareness about making informed decisions regarding your health care, including whether or not to get a flu vaccine. With the cold and flu season upon us, it's especially important to understand that the flu can be more serious if you have conditions like asthma, diabetes, or high blood pressure. These health issues can make the flu more dangerous and lead to bigger complications, which is why getting vaccinated is so important. Joining us today is one of my favorite doctors to talk to, Dr. Gregory Hall, an internal medicine physician at University Hospitals, who'll guide us through tips on staying healthy this cold and flu season. How are you, Dr. Hall?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I haven't gotten the cold or flu yet, so we're
So
doing good
far,
so far.
so far, so good. Yep.
Yes. But you have some great tips and some great information for our listeners. Now, what's the difference between a cold and the flu, and how can people tell which one they have?
Well, actually, the a cold is a type of flu, right? And so there are a lot of different flus, and you've probably heard, there's no cure for the common cold. I mean, that's because the cold keeps changing. If you think back about COVID, and we all learned probably more than we ever wanted to learn about flu viruses with COVID,
Yes.
which is also a virus, right? And so we had that first version that was a deadly, deadly version, right? And then these subsequent versions have not been quite as deadly, although it can be very bad for some people. That's because it changed just a little bit. The virus itself changed a little bit. And so the vaccine that they made had to change a little bit to adjust it. And so flus eat the same thing. Every time you catch a flu, it sort of leaves you a little bit different than it came. And so you won't get that specific flu again, right? But you might get something different, which is why we have people to get different flu vaccines. So every year in the fall, they look at the most prominent, most sort of flus that make you the sickest, and then they sort of predict how to give you something that'll give you immunity to it in advance. And so that's why every year we get a flu vaccine. And actually, that flu vaccine may contain 2 or 3 specific flus that are maybe, I don't want to say the most deadly, but the ones that'll make you the most sick. And so to try to give you some immunity to that as the year comes forward.
So, why do you feel that getting the flu shot is so important?
Well, I don't like being sick. To be honest with you, I mean, when I
Neither
get
do I.
sick, even as a physician, if I get sick, I got to take a day or two off. I don't like having a sore throat. I don't like feeling miserable. And the flu vaccine has actually prevented that. I mean, 30 years ago, I got a real bad flu, even though I was young and I thought I was going to die. And every year since then, I get the flu vaccine because I haven't had that yet. So I mean, it's really just benefit as it relates to not being sick. I mean, a lot of people think, well, the flu shot will make you sick, and then that's just not the case. You can't get sick from a vaccine. Now, some people will have side effects of this and that, and that's just your immune system sort of adjusting to it, but you're not actually sick. And so there's a lot of people that sort of will avoid the flu shot because they say they don't have time to get sick. But my experience has been it really keeps me from getting sick.
So, you've brought up a couple of the common concerns and, maybe misconceptions that people have. Tell us a bit about some of the most common misconceptions or concerns or myths about the flu.
Well, I mean,
Flu shot.
I'll tell you, starting with us as a Black community. I mean, the doctors and hospitals and the medical establishment for over the last 400 years, even before there was a medical establishment, have done Black people wrong, right? And that's been documented, and that's a whole nother interview we'll have to go through, right?
Yeah.
But we, and I'll be a part of that, have earned sort of the distrust of the Black community, and now we have to own that. And so now I'm trying to be very deliberate about trying to earn a little bit of that trust back despite all those horrible things. And so some people just, if a doctor's prescribed it, I don't want it, right? I'd rather
Right.
go to some nutrition store and buy some. I don't want, if you're giving it out, I don't want it based on that.
Right.
And so something, you're giving the vaccine, I don't want it. You're giving out pills, I don't want them. And so we have to kind of really own up to that and say, yeah, that happened. And yeah, some bad things happen. But right now, we're just trying to be of benefit. We're trying to be of help. We're trying to help our patients. And you should lean into these things. I mean, we lean into all the wonderful things our cell phones do and all the wonderful things our car does now. We're not riding around in a horse and buggy, right? We're adopting new things. And so the medical establishment is also inventing new things to make you not sick, to make you not be inconvenienced, to make you feel stronger. And so I think we should kind of try to get past that, not forget it, that's for sure. And certainly ask questions of your doctor, but really try to lean into the modern technology as it relates to our health. And our health is the most important thing we have.
Oh, absolutely. Now, is it a one size fit all? Like everyone should get the flu vaccine, or are there some of your patients that you say, okay, maybe this wouldn't be the best for you? How do you decide?
Yeah, well, it's I'm healthy, right? And I get it every year. But there are people that I'm not going to wrestle you to the ground about getting the flu vaccine. If you're younger and healthy, you don't have any lung issues, but if you've got asthma, COPD, congestive heart failure, and problems breathing, a bad flu could lead to
Yeah.
pneumonia, and that could cause you to be on oxygen chronically. And so if you have lung problems, you want to prevent getting a lung infection, right? Because that could really change your life significantly. So I'll have a prolonged conversation with my patients that have lung problems about getting the pneumonia vaccine, which we're not talking about today, which is every 10 years, and the flu shot, which is every year, and the COVID shot, because if you get it, it could change your world significantly. And so
Yes.
that's why, but there are people with diabetes. I mentioned earlier. People with diabetes have problems with their immune system. When your blood sugar is high, you have an immune system problem. You can't, however fast you would heal if you cut your finger, you're going to heal that much slower when your blood sugar is high. And so, if you have uncontrolled diabetes, if you get the flu, it's going to last forever. People say, "I might cough. I was sick 6 weeks ago and I'm still coughing." Well, that's because your diabetes is not under control. If you cut your foot 6 weeks ago, it'd still be healing, right? It's just another type of infection. So people with lung disease, people with diabetes, people with other problems, just even people with hypertension. If your heart's concentrating on trying to keep you alive from that standpoint, it doesn't want to be fighting off the flu or anything related to that. And you can get a virus that could actually attack your heart. And so
Yeah.
just being healthy as it relates to that, just it's not that inconvenient. It only takes a moment. You get the shot and you keep it moving, right? It's just people are missing out on something that's frequently it's free if it's not very inexpensive, and they're just not taking advantage of it for wrong reasons, in my opinion.
And you talk about some of those underlying health conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and things like that. Even if it's not COPD or some of those other lung issues, they can still affect the way that your body processes flu, the colds, all of those things. So, yeah, I think that's very helpful to understand that even though it doesn't seem like it's coming from your lungs, the way that your body is dealing with other things might affect the way it heals. So,
Yeah,
yes.
and so what happens is you can get the flu. I mean, so people will say, "I got the flu, and I give me an antibiotic," right? Well, antibiotics are for bacteria; they're not
Mhm.
for viruses, right? And so we have to
Mhm.
give you an antiviral to treat a virus, and an antibacterial antibiotic to treat bacteria. But you can get the flu, which is a virus, and then you get so sick that now bacteria can get into your lungs and get into your system, and now you develop pneumonia after having the flu. And so people will frequently say, I had the flu and I was getting better. I seemed like I was getting better. And then something else happened. And now I got this cough.
Yes.
I got all this phlegm. I'm feverish and all this. And then so I know now. And then when I listen to their lungs, I can hear that the actual infection in your lungs. So if you listen to the lungs of someone with the flu, their lungs are moving clearly. There's nothing in their lungs. But if you listen to someone with pneumonia, you can hear wheezing and noises that are in the lungs. And so now you got the flu, almost got over it, and then that turned into, because your immune system was trying to fight off this flu, it turned into a bacterial infection that's even worse. And so we've seen that repeatedly. And again, that happens. People with diabetes, people with heart problems, people with lung problems. Those are the people we really need to concentrate on.
And what I've learned personally is, you try these different routes. There's so much information that's available on social media or what have you, just so many things out there. And you want to try to do the healthy things and, try to solve your problems yourself, but you really can't put yourself in a trick bag if you are not consulting your physician to see what underlying things, how they may affect you. So that is very very important. Don't go down the rabbit hole, the social media rabbit hole, and think you can fix it, because you might end up in a worse position. Now, during COVID, we saw lots of different ways that they told us to prevent spreading the disease. 3 feet, we saw masks, we saw lots of different things.
Mhm.
What is the best way to prevent spreading something like the cold or flu?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. And in your earlier statement, when you talked about being healthy, I mean, the fighting off anything is best when you're healthy, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
being healthy means eating the right things. It means having nutrition, right? And eating fruits and vegetables, getting vitamin D and vitamin C and zinc. And so, just because I'm a physician, I'm not against those things. I mean, because if you have an adequate amount of zinc, actually one of the top selling things that help to shorten the course of the flu is a tablet that's mostly zinc, right? And so that's a natural approach. It's over the counter. And so if you feel like you're coming down with the flu, you're probably zinc deficient, because we don't eat salmon and mushrooms all the time, right? And
Right.
so taking that is a good approach. Vitamin C does help you fight off things like that. Vitamin D deficiency, which is predominant in the African American community, having a low vitamin D is hard on your immune system. And so those things can actually help fight off of, just because you're healthy. I ate vegetables, I eat fruit. That'll help you be healthier, so that if you do kind of get confronted with something, you can do better. Now, I mean, I still see people walking around with masks still, like from the COVID mask, and so if you get sick, if you wear a mask, you're less apt to give it to someone. If someone comes in your area and they have a cold, if you wear a mask, you're less apt to get it. But you're also helping your immune system. Our immune system, it wants to fight off infections, right? That's why it's there, and we want to use it. And so if you've ever woke up in the morning, I think I'm getting a sore throat. Oh, I'll be damned. I'm going to get sick, right? And
Yes,
then a couple hours
absolutely.
later, you look up, oh, I didn't get sick. That was
Right.
your immune system kicking in and fighting off infection. And that keeps your immune system sharp. And so it's not like we should avoid everyone who's sick and don't do this and da da. Your immune system was designed to keep you healthy, to fight off infection. And once you get, like I said earlier, once you get a certain type of flu, you'll never get it again. Your immune system will kick in. So if you have kids that are sick and they come in the house and you're sure you're going to get sick because they don't wash their hands and whatnot, and you don't get it, it was because you've had it in the past and your immune system fought it off. So, but the basic things, hand wash and, wiping off doorknobs, wiping, cleaning things, bathing, all the things that you kind of have to feel like you have to tell your kids sometimes to do.
Yes.
All of, all of those things help to keep us from catching things. When you come home from the grocery store, wiping off your stuff that you brought home, thinking about, the carts and all those things, just kind of be mindful of that, because you actually can lower your risk from getting things just by using these simple things that we really kicked in during the COVID thing. But those are all sensible approaches,
Yes.
just going forward.
Now, what about those kids? Because, we use the common sense things like washing our hands and, maybe not sneezing or coughing in someone's face. But, those kids, they don't respect any of that. So, how long should we be avoiding grandma, grandpa, or, if you have symptoms with your kids, what do you feel about that?
Well, it's kind of it's a trick because you're most infectious right before you start getting symptoms, right? So you get something. So you can look back and say, oh, I felt fine on Friday night, but Saturday I woke up sick. You probably spread it to a lot of people on Friday night, right? And before you got sick. But after you've kind of it's peaked and you're at your sickest and start to get better, then you have immunity, right? Because your immune system is beating it and you're less apt to sort of give it. I mean, the conventional wisdom is, when you're not coughing, when you're not feverish, yeah, when you're not sick, that's when that's when you can spread it, when those things are at their worst, obviously. And so as you feel better, you're more immune and you're less apt to spread it. But when you first get sick, that's when you're really the most infectious. And so and again, that's why my older patients should get the flu shot, should get the pneumonia shot,
Mm.
because it's not when they go to the store and touch the basket. It's those grandkids who come over that
Those
never
darn
wash their hands.
grandkids.
They're
Yeah.
your biggest enemy. And so you've got your mask in the car and you've got your gloves and all that stuff from when you went out. But when you come home, when they come into your space, that's when they get you. And they usually have the most deadliest things. I've been the sickest when I was doing pediatric rotations because kids will kill you.
They sure will. So it's those little hugs, those little sweet hugs from your grandkids. Those are the most deadly.
Absolute wet willies, right?
Yes, yes. So if you do get sick, you're showing symptoms, how do you know when you should seek medical attention?
Well, I mean, if you start getting sick, you want to again take some of the over-the-counter things that you can do to try to fight. Make sure your zinc and vitamin C, and try to do those. Eat some fruit and vegetables. Those kind of get your body in the best situation. But if you feel like you're getting sick, sometimes you can reach out to your doctor. Most of the time with viruses, with the cold and with viruses, we don't give you medicine for that.
Yeah.
It's your immune system kicks in. You're only sick for a couple of days and you get back. And so by the time you kind of reach us, it's 2 days anyway, right? And so
Right, right.
too late to get the antivirals. And so, and I haven't found those to be helpful at all, to be honest with you. Really sick people with bad lung disease, you starting to get cold, you do want to reach out to your doctor because you never know. This could be something that really push you over and make it much worse. But if the average person catches the cold, just isolate, do the right thing, drink fluids, fruit and vegetables, and ride it out because most of the people will do fine. And then again, and what I've found, and I swear, is that since I've been getting the flu shot, I have not been spending those, 2, 3 times a winter. I'd be in bed watching TV, watching Bonanza, right? Thinking I'm missing
Bonanza. Wow.
school, right? and I haven't had to do that since I've been getting the flu shot. And I've been really deliberate about nutrition because when you catch something, it's because your body is not able to fight it off as well as it could, and that's because you're not in the tip-top shape that you should be in.
Absolutely. We appreciate all this wonderful information. Dr. Gregory Hall always comes with the good receipts. Thank you so much for sharing this valuable information today with our audience. To learn more, visit WZAK Cleveland /BH365. Till next time, y'all. I'm Kenya Brown.